Hey, my name is Fernie Rivera, and I'm the founder of Here and Now Coaching. I'm so glad that you are joining me this week as we figure out what the value is in having values. Do they make a difference? Do they help build culture? And how do we put our values together? I'm excited for this conversation. So, you ready? Let's go. I worked for a pastor once who made it a priority for us as a staff to have a set of core values. And soon after that, these values were written into every job description and they were talked about at every staff meeting. And after a while, it got to the point where all staff members could pretty much recite the core values, which I will admit is better than at most churches, at least ones that I've been a part of. Now, I have to be honest though, there was one value that I hated seeing on our list, and I tried really hard to get rid of it. The value was resilience. Now, don't get me wrong, resilience is important. There are days when everything just seems to be going wrong, and it takes resilience to make things happen. When the live stream stops working, or when a musician doesn't show up, or a volunteer forgot they signed up, when a fellow staff member is overwhelmed, it takes resilience to step in and make things happen, right? There are very good reasons to value resilience among your team. But here's what I need you to know about core values. Values not only influence the way people live out their faith, they also influence how people live out their job description, which is why values matter. See, a value can bring either harm or it can bring life. It can bring burnout or it can bring healthy boundaries. It can bring about a healthy culture or one where people constantly complain about what's happening. So let me give you an example from Scripture. Acts chapter 2, verses 42 through 47 say this. They devoted themselves to the apostles' teaching and fellowship, to the breaking of bread and the prayers. Awe came upon everyone because many wonders and signs were being done by the apostles. All who believed were together and had all things in common. They would sell their possessions and goods and distribute the proceeds to all as any had need. Day by day, as they spent much time together in the temple, they broke bread at home and ate their food with glad and generous hearts, praising God and having the goodwill of all people. And day by day, the Lord added to their numbers those who were being saved. Now, I find this scripture fascinating. So it starts off by telling us what the community values are. Their devotion to the apostles' teaching, fellowship, breaking of bread, and prayers. And then it goes on to tell us how people live out these values. So they lived out the apostles' teaching by selling their possessions, by sharing with those in need, and prioritizing the goodwill of all people. They lived out this fellowship by constantly being together and holding all things in common. They broke bread together at each other's homes. They kept their prayers by spending time together in the temple and praising God. See, what I love about this scripture is that as the people begin to understand and know their community values more and more, they begin to live out those values in their everyday life. See, if we want to build a culture, yes, a mission statement and a vision are very important. But your values are what inspire people to live out God's mission and reach that vision. So let me tell you why I didn't like this resiliency value. What started off as an invitation to step up when necessary became an excuse for lack of preparation. There were times when we were ordering things or designing things or setting up spaces literally the last minute possible. And look, I get it that sometimes stuff like this happens. But what eventually happened was that all of us, most of us, waited until the very last possible minute to try and get things done because we were afraid that changes were going to come at the very last minute. Now, this led to burnout, it led to careless mistakes, and even frustration among the staff, not just with the staff, but against each other. And the problem was that the next day at staff meeting, the celebration was always about how resilient everyone was and how thankful we were that they were resilient, instead of doing something about what was causing us to be resilient in the first place. See, instead of fixing the things that led to us needing to be resilient, we just celebrated how quickly everyone would step up and be resilient. Now, it should come as no surprise that celebrating resiliency eventually led to so many people getting burnt out, distrusting each other, and so much more. See, as we put together our values, it shouldn't just be about finding words or phrases that sound good, or that seem to work in the corporate world. or even whatever things we think a church should value or a ministry should value. As we put our values together, it's important to start with this one question: what kind of culture are we trying to create? What kind of culture do we need to create in order to reach our mission and our vision? And once we figure that out, we can begin to compile a list of compile a list of things, of values that will help us create that culture. Now, listen, if you need help either putting together your values or reassessing the ones you already have, or trying to figure out what kind of culture you want to create, I want to invite you to reach out to me at coachingforhereandnow@gmail.com or visit my website at hereandnowcoaching.org. I would love to help you out in any way that I can.
I go.